over here in the UK. Hello everyone. So it's time for a spot of stitching. So it's been a pretty busy week for me, and been really craving for a proper session of stitching. So this piece has been calling me all week. So I'm going to show you what I'm stitching today. So I know the Christmas thing is slightly premature, but just way it is. And so today, let me show you the piece I'm going to be stitching. Here we go. So this is a piece called a stationery shop, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a night view of a beautiful store here. And so I'm starting from the upper left and then stitching all the way down here. So where I am right now, let me just put this off. So where I am right now, I'm at the sort of window, the roof bit, on page 1. I finished the first page and I'm down to the second page. So I've decided to just go straight down because there's there's a part of it I'm really drawn to. So so if you look at the upper left corner, there's some windows there, and if you look all the way down toward the side, left side, then hang on, let me just make sure my chart is working here. Oh dear, never mind. Let me just open this here and bring it over to my window here so I can see it. Okay, so this piece, I'm going from the top left to the side here. So I'm really excited. The color scheme is beautiful. And let me show you. So before I start, so I'm using the, instead of a pattern keeper, I'm using the markup XP again, because this is a printed pattern. I scanned in and converted it into an interactive pattern. So I'm able to mark the stitches. And my progress so far, so it's a pretty large piece, and it's a total of the stitches here, and I've completed about just over 5%, so long way to go. I'm starting from 0 stitches, and let me see what I can do today. I don't have particular goals, and I'm just stitching the pace that makes sense to me. So I'm going to go for kind of a mini cross country to fill out this area hopefully, and then come down here. I might venture down here a little bit. As you can see, I'm sort of going around the page, the entire page, cross country. So it depends on how it works. I might try to cover the same color, do color complete, but if it doesn't make sense, then I would just I just finish the thread, for instance, and then switch color. So I don't have any rules that I follow strictly. I just do it in the way that makes sense. So from here, let me just bring up this markup as well. It's so pretty. Just make sure you can see, and zoomed in just enough. So I can't see. Hang on, give me a sec. I'm a newbie in stitching. I said not newbie in stitching, newbie in live streaming. So I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. So bear with me. I'm trying to find my login here. So just trying to make sure that I can see everything I need on the screen. So my thread here, let me see where I would like to start. Okay, so I'm going to start from a, I might make this markup a little bit smaller. Let me see. My needles, and I've got a cup of coffee here. So I'm fully prepared. Cotton Love Yogi. Okay, I'm just trying to log in my chat here. Just bear with me here. I've been thinking about this piece for the last few days. Every time I walk past, I just go, well, I like to stitch you, but I'm not quite ready yet. Let's have a look. But I've been really busy, so it's so nice to have some time in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, to do some stitching. It's a peaceful way to spend some time in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Good. So I hope you are having a really peaceful time wherever you are. So I'm after 3865. 3865. Oh, that's a white color here. Hang on. Let me just do something first. It's all about preparation, isn't it? Let me just log into this. Ah, better. Done. Thank you so much. Okay, now I can stitch in peace. Here we go. The UK weather has been beautiful, and today is exceptionally warm. I think it's about 20 degrees, which in UK standard, we're practically in the summer. No kidding. Let's have a look. And I'm starting with a really light color. So you might hear some hissing sound in the background. It's just my poor computer working overtime. So I've got a pretty old Mac, which is working really, really hard to support all the things I'm trying to do to it. You know, editing and live streaming, etc. It's just not really equipped to do, but it's doing its best, and that's what it counts. So there's one stitch there. Just want to make sure that I'm starting at the right spot. So over there. Okay. Here we go. There's one stitch there as well. Because white, color white is always a bit tricky because it's about the same. It's kind of the same color as the fabric most of the time. And I think stitching is a little bit like exercise. You have to ease your way in. The first few stitches will be a little bit awkward. I'm trying to set that expectations very low here. And then as you warm up, it gets better and you start to stitch maybe a little bit faster. I say maybe because I never stitch that fast, as my channel name suggests. Again, managing expectations as well. You know, if you claim that you can stitch fast and then you turn out you're actually pretty slow. I'm trying to find my scissors here. I'm really fully prepared today because all day long I had a few things to do before I could sit down, and all day long I was thinking about, oh, I'm gonna just sit down and have a nice stitching session. But I forgot that you know, particularly if you're going to stream, it helps if you have some sort of if you prepare a little bit, you know, set things up before you go live. That helps. But of course I wouldn't be thinking about that. Don't be ridiculous. So start with color white. This fabric is quite soft. Sometimes Ada can be quite stiff, depends on the I think new ones tend to be a little bit more starched and stiffer. And it's quite interesting to have sort of different feel to the fabric as you stitch. It makes everything more interesting. So, trying to see if I can move my camera up a little bit. Let's have a look here. So this is one of the sort of cross stitching kits that I bought during pandemic, during the lockdown. And I think a lot of people probably pick up new hobbies during that time. So prior to that, prior to the whole episode of lockdown, I was doing fair bit. Well, I wouldn't say fair bit. I was, familiar with cross stitching, but I was doing mostly samplers, smaller pieces, kind of fun pieces, that I kind of, pick it up sometimes. I wasn't obsessed in any shape or form. I was doing knitting. I just love making things. So whenever I had any free time, I would just try to find different things to do. I like to work with fabric. So any sort of craft relating to fabric, I probably enjoy. A bit of sewing sometimes. And I also did sort of felt sculpting, if that makes sense. I don't know whether you've done it before. You basically get a lot of sort of fluffy wool, different colors. You can make different things like kittens and ducks. I remember I made a duck following the instructions. But it wasn't until the lockdown I discovered full coverage pieces and projects, and I was totally in. It just seemed so challenging, so impossible, but so luring. It's almost like a new skill that you can learn, even though it's cross-stitching ultimately, but how you approach it and the techniques are very different. So when I was doing samplers, which I still do, sort of try to do a little bit from time to time, I'll make sure the back is totally neat. Every single strand will be tucked in, nothing loose. And that was part of the challenge, stitching pieces like that. That type of project, it's quite small and not that many stitches are involved, and you can make everything really neat and tidy. And when I started doing full coverage, all of that had to go out of the window, because otherwise, you it would take forever in a day. It's already taking, a long time for anything, meaningful progress to be done. Let me just make sure I'm stitching the right place to here. So it's about learning to let go some of the kind of rules that I impose on myself. And I had to learn how to start and end threads without flipping the project over. That was interesting to learn. because, you know, there are so many different techniques. And no single method works for everything. So that's what I've learned. Let me just make sure I've got this right here. So I switch my methods for starting and ending pretty much for, I wouldn't say every project. It depends on your method of stitching to start with. Whether you're doing parking or you're doing cross country, and also fabric counts as well. I find how you start and end, the options that you have with larger stitches like these ones, larger counts, lower counts, like 14 for instance, it's very different from if you're stitching 25 counts or above, or anything over 22. You're in a slightly different area, I think. Let me move it over here a little bit. So a lot of times when you think one thing works really well, and then you come across a situation that doesn't work that well anymore. I think I missed a stitch here. Oh, I'm okay. So I need to remember to mark it, or I just lose track, lose my way. Let me have a look. Good. It's really tricky stitching white because you're not always, sometimes you look at a blank stitch, you think it has been stitched, or the other way around, you end up stitching it twice. I do that anyway, and particularly with higher counts, like 25. If I stitch sort of pale colors, oh, I'm in trouble. I just have to be really mindful, particularly when the stitches are very small. So for the past, I say, nearly 2 years, I was stitching, or maybe 2 years is a bit of exaggeration, maybe nearly 2 years. Because I really only started, oh dear, only started stitching full coverage, maybe only for about 2 years, slightly over 2 years. But since I kind of fell into this rabbit hole, I've been stitching pretty much exclusively 25 counts. You know, I was in that heaven and earth, not heaven and hell. I nearly said heaven and hell. Heaven and earth world, rabbit hole. But recently, probably beginning of the year, I started to kind of miss some varieties to how the pieces I stitch. So I started to pick up these ones that these are probably one of the first projects that I was doing when I first started the full coverage. These are red, you know, kind of a cross-stitching kit. It's got everything in there, so I didn't have to buy my own thread or floss. Ooh, I need a bit of concentration here because I think I missed something here. I missed a stitch here, right next to this one. All right then. Okay. Got these ones here. Here we go. Right. Then under here, trying to find my way back. I think I missed a couple of stitches because they're white or pale. And I've got a habit of doing one leg first and come back to finish the second leg. And it's very easy to kind of miss stitches, mistaken that certain stitches have been done already. Right. Let's have a look here. Okay. I think I'm good. Crisis averted, I think. Yeah, so I was saying that in the beginning of the year, for some reason, I was really missing kind of variety, some of a variety. I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've been coming back to these 14 count design projects and really enjoy it. And also I've been doing half stitches, which I never did before, because prior to that, prior to this year, I just kind of considered that half stitches as a bit of cheating, to be honest. So I just thought, well, that's only half of the project. You know, half of the project you've done. If you do a project that's entire piece in half stitches, you've really only done half of it. That was kind of my thinking. Oh dear, where am I? Okay, here. But then I change my mind every time if I say that something's not for me, I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. You can be certain that that will be the next thing I'm going to do. So, so that's kind of just the way it is. So I need to stop saying that I wouldn't do something. Okay, I think I've got these roll as well. These are a little bit tricky. Let's see. I think that one is not white. I don't even know you can see the stitches because the colors are identical to fabric here. If I'm having trouble seeing it, you probably have the trouble seeing it as well. But I love this piece. Just so whimsical. You know, it's night view, but it's got so much warmth to it. And if you're stitching as well, let me know what you're stitching. I'm so curious. You know, I always admire people who can do pieces that kind of pretty much very similar color scheme throughout. You know, those ones like landscape or ocean views, or I know a lady on Instagram that I follow. She does map, ancient map. That's all brown and a little bit of black, and it's a massive piece. And she's been stitching it for months now, and it's just incredible for me because I'm just thinking how you're not going mad just stitching the same colors pretty much throughout. I'll probably just go I'll just give up. I need changes. I need different colors, different themes, different fabric counts, or I have no chance. Good. So this bit is filling up. Let me see if I can pull it down a little bit. Oh, I think that one. Never mind. I'll stitch over because I think I made a mistake there. So I'm going to leave it just one leg there. And I'll just stitch over it with the correct color. And yeah, I was talking about half stitches. So I started a few pieces. You probably saw it on my videos as well. There are a couple of stitches, couple of projects there. I do 2/1. So I was thinking that other people were cheating, and it turned out I'm cheating as well. No, I don't think it's cheating. I actually find it really enjoyable, surprisingly. I was a little bit worried about the coverage of it, but it turned out to be pretty good. And to be honest, if you zoom out, you probably wouldn't know they're half stitches, particularly with higher count projects like 25 counts. To be honest, you know, you'd be hard pushed to be able to tell if it's half stitches or 4 stitches. So in terms of the outcome, not that different. Sometimes you can see some bits might be, you can see the shape of the stitches. You know, there's the diagonal just one way. But to be honest, who's looking at these pieces with magnifying glass? No one. I don't. And it's so fast as well. So that's one bonus. So fast. To the point I was feeling quite guilty, to be honest. So there we go. So it's almost the end of this thread. It's getting quite short now, so I'm going to end it and switch color. I'm going to switch to a color that I can actually see. That helps. That really helps. Now I can see it. I can see white. I'm not blind. Not yet. So here, I'm going to just tuck it in here. Should be able to get away with it. I think, let me just mark these ones. Let's have a look. I might go for this area actually, or maybe come down here. Let's come down here. Oh, nice. Nice color choice. 3853. Okay, so I've got one. It's already threaded. Not very long, but this would do. And I can actually see it. That is really nice. Got a few hair here. I've got cats, so the cat hair is just incredible. They just, you can never get rid of them completely, and they just suddenly appear on the fabric sometimes. So I just use a piece of masking tape and just remove them that way. Anyone that has cats will probably understand what I've just said. Cat hair is magical. You get everywhere. There's a very pretty orange here. Very pretty indeed. It's getting a bit short, ready. Imagine I'm trying to stitch something like this without a nap. Ooh. It just I know some people, I've seen people on YouTube stitching full coverage with paper patterns. And I watch with amazement and admiration. I'll just lose the will to go on. I think the most powerful feature, other than the fact that you can mark stitches, is the search, the find function. You just tap a color and all the same color stitches appears. So instantly you're able to follow the pattern, the color flow of the piece and decide how you want to stitch it. And that's kind of a dream feature if you're stitching something like this. I love this color. I'm gonna just continue with this 3853. 3853. I'm gonna pull some out. And also it gives you the stitch count for that color as well, which is really, really helpful, because then you know, it gives you some idea whether you have enough floss of that color or not. How amazing. And this is only possible because of the technology. And you hear people sometimes complain about technology, saying that, distract people and everything. While that may be true, there's some people just generally staring at their devices all the time, even in a social situation. And that happens too, but I don't think it's a new thing, It's not really a technology or device issue. It's I think, I don't know. I think it's a human thing. That's what I think. It's a human thing, because I don't know whether you've been to London or not, but in London, there's London Tube, which is underground. It's subway basically. At rush hour, if you hop on the tube at rush hours, everyone has no facial expression, or maybe some of them look miserable. Just being on a commute to work and wherever they're going. And I think before the smartphone and everything became so common, people used to bury their faces in newspapers, actual newspapers, like physical papers. I know it's a distant memory, but people used to do that. But no one was sort of complaining about newspapers, even though that, in terms of function, that's pretty much the same thing we were doing, to either distract ourselves or just kind of go into your own world without having to deal with the external world for a little bit. Escapism. And now the only difference is we just choose different object or things to do the same. So it's a human thing. You can call it a problem, but I just think it's one of those things. When you sit on the tube, on the train, facing each other, probably depends on where you are. If you're in a sort of countryside, maybe people are more friendly. They talk to each other, say hello. It's not something that you do that frequently in London. I mean, I love London. It's a beautiful city, and I love the people here. But I think I've got a little knot here. Let me just remove it first before it turns into something different, something else. But over here, I think you'll probably be slightly nervous if people starting saying hello to you on the tube. It's just not something that people do. And it's kind of, I don't think it's a bad thing, because it's good to have space rather than be totally involved. in other people's life, like neighbor's life, or the other way around. So you can have space. It's not a bad thing, not necessarily. So you give people more space, more respect. I think there's a little knot happening here. Let me see. Should be fine. But technology is a beautiful thing. That was my point. That it's allowing us to do a lot of things that we couldn't before, or very difficult to do before. And I love it. Here we go. I think I stopped buying paper books the moment iPad came out, which was, trying to think. Was it 2007? No, 2007, it was iPhone. And I think I got the first generation when it came out. And then iPad, I think it came out on 2011, if I remember correctly. Terrifying. Where has time gone? And from then, I think I probably bought 3 physical books since. And I only did so because I had no choice. When I went on yoga teacher training, those books were physical books. There was no digital options. So I had to buy physical books. It was quite a shock to the system. I was holding the books and I was thinking, oh my God, you have to flip pages. You can't pinch and zoom. And you can actually lose the book. You can lose them. And you can spill coffee on the pages. And they'll be brown forever. There's nothing you can do. And so that was my thought. I was quite shocked. And also when we did the final exam for the training, the written exam, we had to use pen, like real pen, to write down the answers. We couldn't use a computer or a tablet. So I had to buy a pen. I had to buy a pen because I hadn't used physical pens for a long time by that point. I think it was just before COVID 2019 when I did a training. And I had to do really radical things. I had to buy physical books, and I had to write with a real pen rather than an Apple pen. Oh, shocking. And but I got over it. The trauma has subsided. I'm okay again. I'm whole again. So, and to be honest, I still carry pens on me because my classes, I have to take register of people's names, of the students. So I use a real pen to tick the names of the name list. So I do interact with real pens still regular basis. I'm doing okay. Let me mark this off. And also, to be honest, without technology, I wouldn't be here talking to you. That's just that. Let's see. I'm loving this piece. You know, when I started stitching 25 counts, I almost felt like, oh, I couldn't believe that I was doing 14 counts because they, you know, it just seemed too easy. I was feeling a bit cocky there. You know, I'm doing like, you know, much smaller stitches because I'm just that advanced. And and now I'm really loving it. And I'm sure, you know, give me some time, I'll miss the 25 counts again. I'm starting to miss it already. Oh dear. Okay, hang on. 2 from the side. So I'm kind of craving a little bit of 25 count full cross. So maybe the next session I'll be doing some of that. And I have to remember showing you this piece I got from Gecko Rouge. It's huge. If you think, I think maybe bigger than, I'm trying to think, Heaven and Earth, super size. I don't know how many stitches involved. I'm hopeless with numbers. But in terms of size, I believe it's even bigger than super size. And again, I started a project during the lockdown, and I made some progress, but it's a long road. I'm embracing it, but I kind of got to a point that I was a little bit fatigued with the piece because it's so big, and also I was just craving to do something a little bit different. And once I started doing other things, like in terms of projects, I kind of forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I kind of didn't go back to it for a little while. So I'm starting to crave for that project again. It's a beautiful piece. No spoiler right now, but I'll show you very soon. Let me have a look here. This fabric is really soft. And I like my fabric quite tight, drum tight. And it's not always easy to maintain the tension. Just mark this off. And it's just how amazing, how different the stitching experience is. Stitching 14 counts versus 20, I don't know, 20, 22 above. And 25 is a different kind of experience. And I know people stitching 28 as well. I'm just thinking, you know, it's like a, I don't know, some sort of eye training that they're doing, sort of extreme stitching, just to see if they can make small, you know, the stitches as small as possible. It's like a challenge for yourself. It's like people who run marathon, you think they're pretty fit, and then there are people running ultra marathon. So regular marathon is just like warm up. Some people just want to push things further, make it even more challenging. I haven't tried 28 actually. I actually don't know. 25 for me is just about, you know, I can manage it. It's okay. I think your eyes just get used to it. But 28, seriously, you know, take it easy, you know? There's nothing to prove yet. Another thing I'll probably like to try at some point is linen. I tried it maybe a year ago, but I was stitching. What was I stitching? I ended up kind of gave up on that project because the fabric I chose just wasn't, I didn't enjoy the feel, the kind of stitching experience. The fabric was very, very soft. So I decided it wasn't for me. But stitching linen is a different kind of skill and challenge. And I like a challenge. You know, you can't see the grids, the definition of the stitching areas that well. So you have to train your eyes to do different things. That's fun. You know, doing something new is always fun. It's such a pretty orange. And I've got, let me have a look. One more over here. Just move it up to the right a little bit. So, the end here. Lovely jubbly. Good. Have a sip of my coffee. It passed 6 o'clock. It's a little bit late for caffeine, so it's a little bit naughty of me. But it goes with the stitching. Let me just move it forward a little bit here. Move it up. Where shall I go next? I think. So just zoom out a little bit. Probably. Oh, there's more white there, so maybe I would go maybe down here. Here we go. $4.02. It's okay. I've got a threaded needle here. Just zoom in a little bit more. So on the screen now you can actually see the mock-up. But a lot of times when I'm stitching, I actually try to stop myself from looking at the mock-up because it's kind of a nice surprise when you kind of stitching, you're just looking at the stitches, the colors individually. And then, oh, let me just move the camera over there a little bit. And suddenly an image kind of reveal itself as you were stitching. That's quite satisfying. Particularly I find when you do cross country for within a certain area, let's say you do one page at a time. In the beginning, they were just like dots everywhere. And as you were stitching, suddenly you go, oh my God, that's a flower, or that's a cat, or something. I don't know. There's an element of surprise, and it makes it fun. Look here. a sip of water. It's really warm today, actually. See. And I bet cross stitching is probably quite a good training for sort of pattern recognition for your eyes, because you constantly have to identify where you are based on shapes, you know. You have to constantly kind of try to spot whether you're in the correct location, and the only way you do that is by comparing shapes, patterns. I bet that's good for the brain. I have no science. I have no scientific information proof for that, but I bet it's good. And that reminds me, I can't remember who said it, maybe a doctor or something, saying that people who are suffering from, or maybe for older people, a really good thing to do is, I believe it was crossword. Apparently it's good for brain function. I can see that because you are working with interpreting clues, and you have to remember words. That is kind of important function of our brain. Just something so satisfying about filling in the stitches, and then you start to turn it into something. I can see why people are so addicted to it. And also, it's repetitive in a good sense, because it's not a complex operation. So there's something quite meditative about it. It's a bit like people who likes to walk or run. There's something about the process it's like meditation. Certainly is for me. And to be honest, even though I'm talking as I'm stitching, I'm really just thinking out loud. I mean, these are probably the thoughts I would have had if I wasn't talking. I'm just verbalizing whatever it is I'm thinking. So there isn't sort of extra effort involved, to be honest. You're still feeling very much like meditation. Just a couple more stitches here. I should have enough, just about, to finish the next one before I end it. Here we go. Oops. Oh dear, it's getting very short. It should be okay. I'm gonna just snip it off. It'll be fine. When I ate. It's a beautiful, beautiful red burgundy. Okay, let's see. Oh dear. My needle miter just came off. Just flew off. Here we go. One of my cats is trying to get my attention. They're not very subtle. I just cut this off. Such a beautiful color as well. I really love the color scheme here. So the floss, the thread that comes with the kit, is DMC compatible. It's not DMC thread. I don't know what they are, but they use the same color charts, color system. But in terms of texture of the thread, feels different. I actually like it. It's got more, I think DMC is very glossy, very smooth. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't provide the best coverage because the floss, I don't know the technical terms, but the texture is a bit more, how do I describe it? It's a bit more condensed. So you don't get the floss, the thread snagging against each other that much because the texture is very smooth and the colors are very vibrant, a little bit gloss to them. Whereas these ones, you can see that it's a lot. The colors, it's a more the colors are more matte, which I like as well. It suits the project. But these threads do snag a little bit more, probably because they're less glossy, less sometimes a little bit trickier. You get sort of knots and things. But otherwise, it's a pretty enjoyable thread to stitch. Oh dear, I think. I'm going to take care of these two first. Not the trouble to the left there. So with some of my projects, I park a lot. I don't have kind of hard and fast rules in terms of what kind of project I'll do. Parking, I think I just change my stitching method a lot within the same piece. So you'll probably see constantly me trying to phase out one method and introduce another one. So a lot of transitional sort of periods. I just can't make up my mind. I just want changes. So sometimes with some pieces I would mini cross country on one bit and then I'll park. So I'll go for hybrid. And I've seen people stitch a certain way and make it so neat and tight. I just look at them in wonder. I don't know how they do that. I'm just not very disciplined in that sense. Let me have a look. They're more of this color. Okay. So that's the last one in this area. I'm going to end it. This one. A14. It's the wine red. Look. Here. So normally I do, I'll take one piece and then fold in two to make two threads. But with these stitches, they're more involved because the way I stitch, just one longer piece. So I'm taking two and bring them together. Here we go. Let's have a look. Start from the left. It's actually getting a little bit darker now. It's almost, well, it's 7, it's over 7 p.m. in the UK here. And it's approaching summer because it's still light outside. In winter, the daylight is very, very short. It's not unusual to get pitch black by 3:30 in the afternoon. And so something to look forward to in the summer is that, particularly past Christmas, past, I think, 24 or 22nd every year, of December, the daylight starts to get a little bit longer. So it gives you some hope. Sometimes you're in the middle of a really dark and cold winter. The daytime is going to be a little bit longer every day. And it gives you hope and optimism a little bit. It can be quite hard if you're not used to British weather. You could go through months just wet and cold, dark. That's not unusual. One more here. So I think that's why people over here really appreciate sunlight so much. So not here. If you live in a really sunny place, people might want to hide indoor to avoid the sunlight. Over here, that's just crazy. If it's sunny outside, you run outside, you roll on on the floor in a park, on the grass. You go crazy, and you get sunburn. That's how it's done. So I'm gonna just anchor one stitch here so I can take the thread over. Actually, I didn't have to do this because this is unstitched area. I don't mind that much to take my thread over here. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I may have missed one stitch here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I don't mind taking the thread over, I don't know, 10 stitches maximum, or more even, if it's cross unstitched area. If it's stitch area, it's a different thing. Then I'll probably end the thread and then move and start on the other side if it's too far away. I just don't like floating thread, kind of just all over and the back. I just don't like that. I don't know how long I've been stitching for this session. Let me have a look. 90 minutes. It's gone so quickly. It doesn't feel like that. I feel maybe I've done 40 minutes or something. It's literally double of that. I'll do a little bit more here because I really haven't been stitching much in the past week, so I really miss it. I really miss it. I need to get a fix. See here. Oh dear, what have I done? It's okay. One, two. Oh, hang on. I'd love to know what you're stitching, if you're stitching. It's just so peaceful when you were just creating the stitches one stitch at a time. And at this point, I'm not even trying to interpret what I'm stitching, to be honest. I'm just looking at patterns, colors, and leave the rest to someone else. I'm not trying to figure out what I'm stitching, whether that's a window, a rabbit. Oh, another thing I always try to avoid as far as choosing the patterns concerned. I try to avoid faces, human faces, or animals are not as bad, but human faces definitely is a no-no for me. I know some people stitch images of human figures, human faces. I just can't do that. Anything with eyes, I try to avoid. I'm afraid of dolls. You know, those Punch and Judy style in particular gives me nightmare. I think growing up, I don't mind Barbies for some reason. Barbies, they don't scare me. So growing up, I had maybe a couple Barbies. But generally, I can't do dolls. I just can't. I think I had stuffed animals when I was growing up. But anything that resembles human, I can't. I just, oof. Even now thinking about it, I get cold sweat. So when it comes to design choices for stitching, No eyes. Definitely no human eyes. No, thank you. These colors are just so beautiful. It makes me happy. And like I said, stitching's like running a marathon or exercise. You have to warm up. The first few stitches will feel a bit awkward. And then you kind of warmed up, ease your weight in, and it just flows. It flows. I'd like to be able to finish one of my projects at some point. Well, not going to be anytime soon, I'm sure. But this piece I'm stitching, for instance, these larger counts, I probably have better chance finishing them than the large, max color, heaven and earth pieces. Even though I'm totally okay one way or the other. It's all about the process. Every stitch counts. Doesn't matter if you finish the whole piece or not. But I'd like to be able to finish maybe one piece at least. Any of them. It's 14 counts or those higher count ones. Doesn't matter. One more stitch here. And I'm going to end the thread. Here we go. Mark the stitches before I forget. Three, 3, 7, 1. There we go. Oh dear, picked the wrong bit. It's dark outside. There's still a little bit of light coming through. I mean, there's a big window right in front of me. And I can see squirrels and birds sometimes. So all sort of activities going on there. Move it over here a little bit. Oh dear. Yeah, it's okay. Let me see. I'd like to take the thread over to the left. So I don't have to start and stop. Start and end, well, end the thread and start again in a different location and just flow over there. And I'll check how many stitches I made so far in a bit. I have a feeling I'm not doing too badly today. So I think this way of stitching, sort of mini cross-country-ish, is generally faster. But sometimes you kind of choose not to stitch fast. You want to stitch in a way that is the kind of you're drawn to. So I don't know whether you've heard of this lady called Gemma Stitches. That's the name of her channel, I believe. So her name's Gemma. I think she's from Canada. I love the way she stitches. She's got this really unique method. I don't have names for it. I believe the current way, well, she stitches, I think she calls it color flow or something along those lines. But the way she stitches is basically edging out from whatever shape she's stitching, kind of generally diagonally, but it may not be kind of uniform diagonal. But she would not have sort of floating stitches like these ones. She would just edge out away from the main stitch area, stitch by stitch, and she will park. I mean, I really recommend her channel. I learned so much from her. I didn't know you could stitch like that, because most people, they choose either stitch block by block or page by page, or maybe a few blocks. They define an area, maybe 4 blocks or 2 blocks, whatever. But generally people stitch in a way that's color completing of that area of the block. But she's the only person that I've come across actually stitch that way. I think she probably invented that method herself. And I was stitching like that. I was trying to learn how she stitches for quite a few projects I've done. And it actually works quite well for particularly large accounts. I think when you start to get to kind of smaller stitches, then it becomes more challenging. But for something like 16 or 14 counts, it's actually a really nice way of stitching. It's maybe slower, not for her. I mean, she's quite fast. But when I do it, I generally find that the speed kind of drops a lot, which is not an issue for me. I never really strive to stitch fast. That's not my end goal. I like to be efficient, but ultimately is whether it's pleasurable, because why else would you stitch if it's not pleasurable? It's not a job. I'm not trying to complete to earn a salary. I do it because I enjoy it. So if it's enjoyable, even if it's super slow, I really don't mind. And I tried a method, and actually I was sticking with it for quite a while. And I would go back and forth with that method. Sometimes I get a bit fatigued, then I'll switch and start, do block by block or cross country again. But I really love her method, and she has completed so many pieces. I've been watching her maybe just about 2 years. She's finished at least 1 or 2 large pieces. I don't know how she does that, but she's so fast. Even though with her method, you have to thread and unthread the needles quite a lot. I find that relaxing sometimes, if you're in the right mood for that kind of method. But it's a beautiful way of stitching, I think. But you have to be in the right mood because otherwise you might feel a little bit frustrated sometimes, because it's like you have to make judgment call every stitch of the way to decide where to take your thread, pretty much. And that can be exhausting sometimes, you know, if you like today, I'm really looking for kind of really easygoing stitches. You know, I'm not trying to solve problems. Sometimes you're not in that sort of problem solving mode. You just want challenges. Then that's a good way of stitching for me. But today I really just want to dive in without having to think much. And I just want to stitch. And this way is kind of really relaxing. I don't have to overthink, you know, am I breaking some rules? And it works for me today. Okay, now I'm trying to decide whether to end the thread or take it below. I think I'm going to take it below. Why not? It's unstitched area. And you will get stitched down. Okay, it's fine, all good. Two. I don't know why stitching is so enjoyable. Just something so peaceful about it. Really feeling that now. Good. We end the thread here. Oh, there's more. Hang on. Let me just take it down. This is quite an adventure. Okay. Why not? Come all the way down here. I think you have a lot more freedom when you're just starting to fill the area. There are not that many stitches. It's not fully covered yet. So you can be a bit more liberal in terms of where you take this the thread to. Well, for me anyway. I know some people, they have no problem at all with thread floating unstitched. Not tucked down. So it's a very individual thing. Okay, 2 more stitches over here. Maybe 3. Have a look. Another sip of my coffee. There's 1 more stitch here. Okay. Ooh, racy pacey. Take me all the way here. And I'm going to end it. Here a little bit more. Zoom out a little bit. Have a little check. So this is the second page. I've finished the page above. I think I'm just gonna go for a little bit more. Why not? 310. Not sure that's the right color. Is it? Let me see. Oh, this might be the right color. Why does it look a little bit green? Well, maybe it's not. It's optical illusion. Okay. I'm gonna just take this one. For some reason, it looks green to me. It's not, is it? It's almost black. Start to see things that's not there. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. It is the right color. It was just the lighting there for some reason. It looked a little bit like dark green. No, so the pen I use for gridding is actually water solutable sort of fabric pen. It's quite handy and it disappears when it makes contact with liquid. So it's nice and clear. It doesn't work that well with smaller stitches because the ink bleeds a little bit, so it starts to make it a little bit messy. So with higher count fabrics projects, sometimes I use pencil. I know it's a little bit naughty because you can't always wash it off, but when it's full coverage you can't see it. There you go. Now we're all done. One of my cats is literally staring at me, daring me to ignore her. And they've got this presence when they demand your attention. You know it. I can feel that she's staring at me behind me, even though I can't see her. Well, I can when I turn around, but I could feel her presence behind me, calmly staring at me, maybe asking for supper. What else? Of course, it's supper time. You know, sometimes you delay the supper time a little bit just so they appreciate that, you know, having food delivered to you every day is precious. It's something to be, you know, to feel thankful for. This cat I'm talking about. Feeling grateful is not always one of their default mode. I think I'm going to end this thread here. It's getting a little bit short. Go. Let me have a look. I can't believe it's been 2 hours. But I think I'm going to make a few more stitches here. I might be able to reach, ooh, I don't know. I do have the daily goal set on my app, even though I miss it all the time. But I might be able to make it today. Let's see how it goes. Oh dear. No, wrong spot. So need to tidy up my organizer a little bit, because after a while things do start to go a little bit crazy here. Let me see. It's fine. Let me have a look. Okay. Let me see if I can achieve my stitching goals today and get a medal. Oops. Something about these threads, which is so satisfying to stitch. It's not too smooth. With DMC, sometimes I find it's just too, how do I put it? You kind of want to feel the fabric as you pull a needle through the thread, through the fabric to create that beautiful sound. And you don't always get that with 1/1, just simply because it's the threads are quite easy to get through and the fabric is so fine. But with 14 counts, with this kind of floss on this fabric, you really feel it. It's solid. It's so lovely. It's really tangible. Don't know why my stand is wobbling. Hang on. Here we go. Nice block of black here. I think 310 is probably one of the darkest colors you can get. Oh dear, that's one weird looking stitch. Can't see it. Okay, I can see a little bit. Never mind, no one will notice. I can miss the corner a little bit. And tomorrow I have a busy day teaching. Sunday is always busy if you're a yoga teacher, because people want to go to a studio and people have time to work out. So it's always busy. It's a busy day of the week. And for most people, weekend is actually time off, but not when you're a yoga teacher or you're a fitness instructor. Well, let me have a look. Yes. Ooh. And a few more stitches away from my goal. And I'll show you what it's like to complete my goal. Well, sometimes when I'm stitching in areas the same color, I start to get a bit bored. But not today. I actually really enjoy working with the same color within the same area. Just filling in the space. And listen to the sound of the fabric when you put the thread, the needle through. And this is what it's about. It's better than meditation for me. Right, okay, I'm pretty close. Let me have a look. Where should I take my thread to? So, okay, I'm gonna take it down here. And then I'll show you what happens when you achieve your daily stitching goal. It's exciting stuff. Expect fireworks. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just a few more to go. Just make sure I'm stitching the right area, right spots. And one more here. Okay. And I'll show you something. Okay, this is my last stitch for this session. All right. And let me just bring this over and zoom out a little bit so we don't go blind. Okay. So this is the area I've been working from. Work a little bit over there, down here. And this is my app. And I'm going to mark up the last few stitches and watch this. Can you see that? The confetti, yay! Because I finished my daily goal of 300 stitches. It's not bad for a session, 300. And let me show you what's happening here. I so enjoy the confetti. I really need it. So I set my daily goal. You can set it to any number. Okay, so I'm a little bit ambitious. So I tend to set it higher. So it's more exciting when you finish it, when you complete it. So 300 today, actually 301, but I've gone past 300. So I'm really pleased. And so I think I move the percentage maybe 1% because I think it was 5.7 or something like that earlier on. I can't remember, but it's moved a little bit. So I'm going to be 6% very soon. And but I'm really happy that I finished my goal today. So this is where I'll park it. It really scratched the itch. You know, as I said, I was been craving to stitch on this piece all week, but didn't have time. So this is really, really lovely. And let me just zoom out a little bit. You can't see the top bit because it's being rolled behind the frame. But it's a beautiful piece. Let me bring up the picture again. Just look at that. Oh, I'm in the upper left corner there where the brick wall is. and downwards 2 pages, second page. So very soon I'm going to reach to down toward the poster where you can see a lady with a big hat, I think, or something like that. And I'm really excited to stitch that bit, and it will be this bit somewhere here. So that will be in the next session. So thank you for joining me. If you've been watching, and oh, it's such a great session. I really love it. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you very soon for the next session. Hopefully not going to be another week. Hopefully I'll be able to come back a bit sooner, and either working on this piece